For daily ask Reddit. Marriage counselors of Reddit. What's the stupidest reason a couple has made an appointment? My anger management group facilitator told us a funny story about a couple that came in for counseling. The husband wanted to write a book. The wife said she would work and do everything around the house for a year while he worked on his book. So he quit work and wrote his book while she did everything. The book got published and was a hit. The publisher asked him to do a book signing tour. The wife was furious. She had supported him writing the book and she was done. They came to the appointment and explained the situation. The therapist asked the wife, "So what would it take for you to be okay with the book tour?" She said, "A trip to Hawaii with my sister." The husband was like, "Really? Done." The appointment was over in 5 minutes. Edit. Since a few have asked, he couldn't tell us the title of the book due to confidentiality. Husband, she forgets the laundry in the washer. Wife, okay, but I'm busy. Maybe you could put the laundry in the dryer if you see it. Husband, yeah, that's not my job. That was the least of their problems. The 1950s husband. Those are somehow abundant today. I worked with a guy in the army. He got out a year or so ago who wanted to be the only source of income in his household. He would constantly bitch and moan about how she did nothing all day and only spends his money. But when I suggested that he tell her to get a job, I figured that would solve both issues. No, he vehemently defended his position of "I'm the man, I bring in the money, so she doesn't have to work." I think I facepalmed so hard that day I bruised my forehead. I was a life coach for a bit before I realized it was more administrative work than I wanted to do. I wanted to help people, not fight in organizational political fights. During my brief time, one of my clients was really struggling with the color of dog that her husband got for her. She wanted a specific breed of dog since she was a kid, and her husband did a bunch of research and got her one from a good line of the breed, but its coat was darker than the dog she imagined, and she was really struggling with it. We had a few sessions about expectations clouding your happiness, and it turns out the dog was the most explicit example of much bigger issue she had in her life. But I had to seriously put my WTF on hold when she told me about the shade of her dog being a problem. My sister-in-law made an appointment for marriage counseling because her husband greeted their dog before her when coming home from work. I have no option. The dogs are literally at the door, ready for me to try and not trip over them. For real. I can't even greet my toddlers first because the dogs are like, "Nah dude, we were here long before you. Get out of the way." I have to put the kids on my knees and then pet the dogs while they're jumping up at me. My specialty is children and families, but during the pandemic I was assigned whatever came in because it has been super busy. One lady called and spoke with me first about how her husband was horrible at communication and never listened to her. She asked for a couples session. As soon as she ambushed her husband with a "There is a therapist on the line that wants to speak with you," her husband screamed, "You called a therapist because I don't want to paint the house purple." She wanted me to convince him to paint the house purple, and like any normal human who sees colors, he refused to listen to her. Not a couples counselor, but someone who went to one once. My wife wanted us to go, but didn't actually bring up any of the issues that were bothering her. She let me talk about things that I knew about, but she'd been building up a list of things she resented for years and didn't mention a thing when we were actually there. She divorced me a year later and trotted out the list then. My uncle and his wife. Reasoning. She lost a frying pan. I mean, I get that it's a stupid argument, but how the duck do you lose a frying pan? Cupboard, hob, next to sink, into sink to soak, next to sink, because other things need washing. Angry wife puts all the washing in the garden out of spite, because husband never does the ducking washing up, and the kitchen is a ducking mess. Raccoon steals frying pan. Not a counselor, but I remember my mom telling me about my parents going to marriage counseling. The root of everything was my dad felt unfulfilled in his life. He is a drummer and spent most of his life playing in bands, but he gave that up when my mom got pregnant with my sister. He still had a kit in the garage, but barely ever played it. It took them 3 sessions to understand my dad just wanted to play in bands again, and he didn't know how to tell her because he thought she would be opposed. My mom loves live music and going out and I have no idea why he thought she wouldn't approve. That was about 12 years ago, and my dad is now pursuing music full time in a 3-piece instrumental progressive rock band with his best friends, and my mom is his biggest supporter. Before the pandemic they were both going out to his gigs multiple days a week. They have a whole new set of friends that they love, and they're happier than I've ever seen them.